Good morning all, welcome to Shooting for Scratch. This is Pete and it is Wednesday the 7th of June 2017. I'm down here at Eton Golf Club at the range to do some tweaking, some grinding on the range. I'm just trying to get in my sort of 10 hours allotted practice time during the week that we've decided I need to do in order to get everything working properly. What I'm going to be working on today are a couple of tweaks on the back of my 8th lesson with Dan Whitaker yesterday. And that is predominantly to do with the fact that at the top of my backswing I'm cupping my left wrist. So where I have been trying to get a steeper wrist set on my takeaway, what's happening is at the top of the swing, instead of having a straight wrist, I'm actually getting a cupped wrist. And so I'll try and demonstrate that in the video in a moment. The other thing that is happening is as I come through impact, I'm leaving the club face a little bit open. So even though I'm rotating my body more to the left, so my path has gone from in to out when I used to play a draw, it's now more out to in by a couple of degrees, and I'm playing more of a fade. That's good, but because I'm not closing the club face or squaring the club face before impact, I'm cutting across the ball but with a slightly open club face, and so the ball is starting right of target and ending up even further right of target with the fade. What I'm trying to do is achieve a more pronating, rolling wrist movement. As I start my downswing, I need to be doing more of a motion like this to try and get more of a bowed wrist, a more pronated wrist as I come through the impact zone. Now what I'm not trying to do is achieve a Dustin Johnson bowed wrist at the top of my backswing. I want my wrist to be flat. As I start my downswing, I want to start that pronation. That will help square the club face prior to impact, and then as I turn my body hard round to the left through impact, that will bring the club face square all the way through the impact zone. And once it's square, I just turn. I don't do anything other than that, and that's a passive release, and that is what I'm trying to work on. In order to help me practice that, what I've done is I've set up a couple of sticks. Now, I've got some proper practice sticks on order, but in the meantime, a couple of already broken driver shafts stuck in the ground in front of my mat by about 6 feet. Hopefully you can see that. That gives me a target to hit through. See, I've got the ball on the mat where I would normally be hitting it from, and the sticks placed out in front of me. Now what I would do, and this is normal for me out on the golf course, is I'll draw a line between my club and the ball and the target line, which is the centre of the two sticks. And on the ground about 6 inches in front of the ball, I'm going to pick a spot that is along that line, and that then means when I set up with my club behind the ball and I line with the spot 6 inches in front of the club face, as long as that's parallel, and then I look at my feet and I check my alignment, and so long as the ball, my feet and that spot in front of the ball are all parallel, then I know I'm square to my target of between the two sticks. And that's how I go about aligning any shot, whether it's a putt, a drive, an iron on the fairway. If you've ever seen, Justin Rose, sorry, mind blank. If you've ever seen Justin Rose play, he will always raise his club up in front of him, squint along it, and draw a line between his ball and the target, and then pick a spot 6 inches in front of the ball. And ever since I was a junior, sort of 10, 11 years old, that's what I've always done. So that's a tip for you guys at home if you need or want one. This setup really allows you to, first of all, gauge what the club face is doing. So if it's open, then it's to the right of the stick or it hits the right stick. If it's closed, it's to the left of the left stick or hits the left stick. If it's through the middle, then you know it's square. After that, the ball flight then tells you if it goes to the right, you know that you have been hitting an out to in swing because you've put fade on the ball. If it draws, you know that you've been hitting from in to out and have put draw on the ball. If I hit the stick on the left, it means I've over-pronated and I've pulled the ball to the left. If I hit the stick on the right or go outside of it, I haven't pronated the wrist enough. So again, just checking my positions, checking my setup, my grip, everything like that. That looks good. Start the takeaway then, making sure to get the deep hip turn, get the left shoulder behind the ball, steeper wrist set, not a cut left wrist at the top of the swing. I start thinking about my transition, what I'm doing with my hips, keeping my spine angle, getting that right elbow into my right hip. And then at this point I'm thinking I need to start working on the pronation of my left wrist to square the club face before I then turn through impact. Okay, so that was between the two sticks, so that means I squared the club face, but there was a bit of draw on the ball. I need to create more of an out to in swing path, and I need to square the club face up a little bit more through impact, and that will create the desired result. So this process takes place before every single shot. Checking for a spot and checking the alignment. Taking my stance, making sure my feet are square to target, parallel to the ball and the spot in front of it. Checking my grip, everything like this. So on the takeaway, checking for the wrist set, checking for the hip turn, getting the left shoulder behind the ball, keeping the elbows in front of the chest, so getting that right elbow in front of me a bit more, and I don't want the backswing to go too long, and I don't want cupping in the left wrist. So there's quite a few things that I'm thinking about as I just take a few practice swings and just grind those movements into my muscle memory at the top and get the feel for that. And I've got a mirror directly opposite me on the other side of the bay, so I can check that my left shoulder is definitely behind the ball. From there, at the top, in what I think is a reasonable position, I then start thinking about my transition, so the bump of my left hips, tucking my right elbow into my side, and then rotating to the left, staying behind the ball, and most importantly for this practice session, getting the pronation of the left wrist as I come through impact. And then strike the ball. Now that was a great example for me because, and for you guys I guess, that went through the centre of the sticks, so I know that I started the club face square, or got the club face square through the impact zone as I turned. It was a nice strike, so that's positive feedback as well. I got about 5 yards of fade on it with a nice penetrating ball flight. So through the middle, little bit of fade. That's perfect, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So really it's just rinse and repeat, and that is my practice session today. And that was terrible. It went through the sticks, but it was a real low, hooky thing. It didn't get 5 feet above the ground. Now I'm not too worried about that because obviously these sticks are giving me something else to worry about, and obviously that is affecting my swing. It's getting into my head. So actually importantly, I got it through the sticks. So we'll try again and we'll just trust. See, I'm trying to sort of get it through the sticks as opposed to just hitting a good swing and seeing the result of it going through the sticks naturally. So I was trying to steer that was the problem there. Okay, so for that shot, that was a good strike. It went through the middle of the sticks, so the club face is obviously coming through the impact zone square, but there was maybe 2 or 3 yards of draw on that. I'm trying to eliminate this cupping of the left wrist at the top, which is seeing the club fall a little bit further behind me. I was getting a bit too steep on the takeaway previously, and that was causing the cupping of the left wrist. Now that I'm trying to flatten that out, it's causing the club to go around me a little bit more, so I'm coming more from the inside out. It's hard work, I'm breaking a sweat. I mean, it's quite warm, but you know, I'm holding my body in a lot of positions, I'm concentrating hard, I'm repeating movements. It's quite difficult sometimes to get your muscles into new positions and get feelings, and so it is quite physically demanding, this sort of practice session, even though you're not hitting many balls. I think that ball started slightly right of centre, which means I left the club face open. So whilst everything in the back swing was good and my path was out to in, so I was cutting across the ball because I got the fade, I know that if I repeat that same swing, but I can get a bit more pronation of the left wrist and square the club face up before impact, that would be the perfect shot. So many people say, oh, you're overthinking it. Just go out onto the course, let it happen naturally. It doesn't happen naturally until you've done all of this hard work. Once your body now does this stuff automatically, then you can just go out and just play naturally without thinking about it. But only very, very, very few people are blessed with the talent to just go out and play really good golf, or scratch golf, because that's the aim of the game, isn't it? I'm trying to make these improvements to get to scratch. You don't just go out and let it happen naturally, otherwise I'll be off scratch point. Through the sticks, straight ball flight. Sorry, I have to be a bit quiet because there are people on a nearby green. One of the problems I suffer from is getting a bit quick when I'm working on everything else that I have to. I sometimes find that my tempo gets really, really fast. I start swinging the club way too fast for absolutely no apparent reason. So I tend to, it sounds silly, but I tend to keep a sort of waltz in my head. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, da, 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 and that's how I maintain my tempo. It sounds ridiculous, but in amongst all my swing thoughts, that's the music I've got in my head as well, just to give you some idea. What I found just during today is my ball flight has really straightened out. I don't know if that's just fluke, but the two sticks are really focusing my mind. Guys, thanks very much indeed for watching. Apologies for the quick exit, the battery's about to die, but please do subscribe, give it a thumbs up, chuck a comment in the comment section below. Of course, I'll do my very best to answer any questions you've got. Hopefully this wasn't a boring practice session, it just gives you some idea of what it is that I'm sort of going through, if you like, and how methodical I'm going to have to be to make these changes properly. And I look forward to seeing you in one of my next videos. Take care.